Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to share something that could change the way you look at your daily routine. Most people think that it's the big things like serious illnesses or accidents that cut life short. But the truth is, it's the small, hidden habits we do every single day that can quietly chip away at our health and longevity. If you want to live longer, stay sharp, and keep your energy, you need to understand these surprising habits. They may look harmless, but over time, they're some of the most damaging. Let's go through the four most common ones, and more importantly, how to fix them. When people think about what shortens life, they usually imagine big, dramatic factors, heart attacks, cancer, or accidents. But one of the most overlooked and underestimated threats to your longevity is something so ordinary that most of us never question: it's sitting. The modern lifestyle has turned sitting into the default position for work, leisure, and even social interaction. And while sitting itself isn't the enemy, sitting too much and too often is one of the most damaging daily habits you can fall into. Think about your day. You wake up, sit at the breakfast table, sit in the car on the way to work, sit at a desk for hours, drive back home, and then relax in front of the TV or scroll on your phone, all while sitting. For many people, this adds up to 10 or even 12 hours of sitting each day. Now, here's the problems. Your body was not designed to be sedentary for long stretches of time. Human physiology evolved around constant movement, walking, lifting, bending, reaching. Every system in your body depends on movement to function at its best. So when we sit for prolonged periods, we send a signal to the body that says, shut down. Here's what happens. The moment you sit for too long, blood flow slows down. The muscles in your legs and core go inactive, which means they stop pulling glucose out of your bloodstream efficiently. That raises blood sugar and insulin levels. Over time, this contributes to insulin resistance, which is at the root of type 2 diabetes, weight gain, and cardiovascular disease. At the same time, circulation weakens, making it harder to deliver oxygen and nutrients to your cells. This creates a low-energy, sluggish state that people often mistake for just being tired. But the effects go deeper. Sitting for extended periods also shuts down the enzymes that help break down fat in the bloodstream. That means fat particles circulate longer, damaging arteries and raising your risk of heart disease. And let's not forget the musculoskeletal system. When you sit with poor posture, slouched shoulders, rounded back, your spine is under pressure, your hips tighten, and your neck strains forward. Over the years, this creates chronic pain, stiffness, and reduced mobility. Now here's where it gets even more concerning. Research shows that even if you exercise for an hour every day, it may not fully counteract the damage caused by prolonged sitting. In other words, you can't out-exercise hours of inactivity. It's not just about going to the gym, it's about what you do the rest of the day. Your body responds to frequency, not just intensity. That means small movements throughout the day are just as critical as formal workouts. So what's the solution? The answer isn't to avoid sitting altogether. That's unrealistic. The key is to break up the sitting pattern. Every 30 to 45 minutes, stand up and move. You don't have to run a marathon or do a full workout. Even 2 minutes of walking, stretching, or simply standing makes a huge difference. These small interruptions reset your circulation, activate your muscles, and signal to your body that you are still engaged in life. If you work at a desk, consider using a standing desk for part of the day. If that's not possible, build in little routines. Stand during phone calls, take the stairs instead of the elevator, or walk while thinking through a problem. Instead of sending an email to a coworker in the same office, walk over and talk to them. If you're watching TV in the evening, get up during commercials and do some light stretching or bodyweight movements. These micro habits may feel insignificant, but over years they add up to profound protection against disease and premature aging. Another powerful shift is to reframe how you see movement. Most people separate exercise from daily life, but longevity depends on integrating movement into daily life. Think of your body as a machine that's designed to be in motion. Just like a car that sits too long in a garage starts to rust, your body begins to break down when it's left idle for too long. On the other hand, consistent movement, even in small doses, keeps the system lubricated, efficient, and resilient. Now, let's be honest, changing this habit can feel difficult at first. We live in a world that encourages sitting, cars, computers, entertainment. But here's the motivating part, once you start breaking the sitting cycle, you'll notice immediate changes. Your energy will rise, your thinking will sharpen, your back will feel less stiff, you'll sleep better at night. And over the long term, you'll dramatically reduce your risk of chronic disease. Longevity isn't built in one moment, it's built in the thousands of tiny decisions you make each day. Choosing to stand up, stretch, or take a quick walk may not feel like much, but it's these little interruptions that protect your heart, stabilize your blood sugar, and keep your metabolism active. Sitting too long is one of the most surprising daily habits that shortens life. But the good news is, it's one of the easiest to fix once you become aware of it. And that awareness is everything. Once you start noticing how much you sit, you'll catch yourself, stand up, and move. Over time, those micro decisions will create a stronger, healthier body that supports a longer, more vibrant life. But here's something equally important. Movement isn't enough. If your body isn't properly restored, you could move every 30 minutes, stay active, and still sabotage your health if you neglect the next hidden factor, sleep. Because while your body depends on movement during the day, it depends on deep, restorative sleep at night to repair, reset, and rebuild. Let's talk about why poor sleep habits are the second surprising daily habit that can shorten your life. If sitting too long quietly undermines your health during the day, then poor sleep habits do the same damage at night. Sleep is not just time off from your busy schedule. It is one of the most powerful longevity tools you have. Yet, in today's world, sleep is often treated as optional. People cut hours off their rest to get more work done, watch another show, or scroll endlessly on their phones. At first, it seems harmless. But over time, a lack of quality sleep becomes one of the most destructive daily habits that shortens life. Here's why: your body does not just shut down when you sleep. It goes into deep repair mode. During the different stages of sleep, critical processes take place that protect your heart, your brain, your immune system, and even your metabolism. When you cheat yourself out of sleep, you are literally robbing your body of its chance to heal, reset, and prepare for the next day. Let's start with the brain. One of the most important jobs your brain performs during deep sleep is detoxification. Throughout the day, waste products build up in your brain as a result of normal thinking and processing. If these toxins aren't cleared out, they accumulate, slowing down memory, focus, and reaction time. In fact, studies show that chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease because the brain is unable to properly clean house at night. But the effects don't stop with the brain. Sleep is also when your body regulates hormones. Growth hormone, for example, is released in the deepest stages of sleep. This hormone is critical for repairing tissues, maintaining lean muscle, and slowing down aging. At the same time, melatonin, often called the sleep hormone, helps regulate your circadian rhythm, lowers inflammation, and supports immune defense. When you consistently cut your sleep short, growth hormone and melatonin production plummet, leaving your body weaker, more inflamed, and more vulnerable to disease. And then there's cortisol, the stress hormone. Without adequate sleep, cortisol levels remain elevated. High cortisol not only ages you faster, but it also increases belly fat, weakens the immune system, and raises blood pressure. In fact, just one night of poor sleep can spike cortisol and disrupt blood sugar balance. That's why after staying up late, you often wake up craving sugar and caffeine. Your body is trying to make up for lost energy by demanding quick fuel. Poor sleep habits also directly affect the heart. Research has shown that people who consistently get fewer than 6 hours of sleep per night have a significantly higher risk of heart attack and stroke. Why? Because without deep, restorative rest, blood pressure stays high, inflammation rises, and arteries begin to stiffen. Over years, this creates a perfect storm for cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death worldwide. Now here's the good news: improving sleep doesn't require a medical degree or expensive equipment. Small, intentional changes can completely transform the quality of your rest. The first step is to respect your body's natural clock. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night and try to go to bed and wake up at the same time, even on weekends. This consistency helps your body lock into a rhythm that supports deep, restorative sleep. Next, control your sleep environment. Keep your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Darkness signals your brain to release melatonin, while a cooler temperature helps trigger deeper sleep cycles. If you're exposed to bright screens right before bed, that blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime, delaying melatonin release. This is why scrolling your phone at midnight leaves you wide awake instead of sleepy. Turn off screens at least an hour before bed and replace them with calming routines like reading, stretching, or journaling. Nutrition also plays a role. Caffeine late in the day lingers in your system and disrupts sleep quality, even if you think you've built up tolerance. Sugar and alcohol have a similar effect, causing blood sugar swings that wake you up in the middle of the night. Instead, focus on balanced meals with protein and healthy fats, which help stabilize your energy and support better sleep patterns. And finally, give your body time to wind down. Think of sleep as a landing, not a crash. If you go from full activity, emails, bright lights, problem solving, straight into bed, your nervous system is still on high alert. By creating a simple nighttime ritual, you signal to your body that it's time to shift into recovery mode. This might include dimming the lights, practicing deep breathing, or listening to calming music. When you make these adjustments, the difference is profound. Your energy during the day improves. Your cravings decrease. Your mood stabilizes. Your brain feels sharper. Over the long term, your risk of chronic disease drops and your body ages at a slower rate. In short, better sleep is one of the easiest, most effective longevity strategies available to you. But here's the catch. If your sleep is broken by poor dietary choices, your progress will always feel incomplete because even with great sleep, consuming hidden sugars every day quietly sabotages your body from the inside out, spiking insulin, damaging arteries, and accelerating aging. That brings us to the third surprising daily habit that shortens life, the silent but powerful effects of hidden sugars. You can sleep well, move regularly, and try to live a healthy lifestyle, but if you are unknowingly consuming hidden sugars each day, you are quietly sabotaging your longevity. Sugar is one of the most damaging substances for the human body, not only because of its addictive nature, but because it hides in places you least expect. Many people believe they don't eat much sugar because they avoid candy or soda, but the truth is sugar is tucked away in bread, sauces, salad dressings, flavored yogurts, so-called energizers, bars, and even foods labeled as healthy. These hidden sugars are silent destroyers, and over time, they shorten life in ways that most people never connect to their daily habits. To understand why sugar is so harmful, you need to look at how it affects the body. When you consume sugar, it rapidly spikes blood glucose levels. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin, the hormone that drives glucose into cells to be used as energy. But here's the catch. When this happens repeatedly, day after day, meal after meal, your body becomes less sensitive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance, and it is the foundation of many of today's chronic diseases, including type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatty liver disease, and heart disease. Insulin resistance doesn't develop overnight. It's the result of constant sugar hits, often from foods people don't even recognize as sweet. For example, a slice of whole wheat bread can raise blood sugar just as much as a candy bar. A bottle of orange juice, marketed as natural, can contain as much sugar as a can of soda. These hidden sugars keep your insulin elevated for hours, and that prolonged exposure is what does the real damage. High insulin not only drives fat storage, particularly dangerous belly fat, but it also keeps your body locked out of fat burning mode. That's why people often feel trapped in cycles of cravings, weight gain, and low energy. But sugar doesn't just affect your waistline. It accelerates aging at the cellular level through a process called glycation. Glycation happens when sugar molecules attach to proteins in your body, creating stiff, damaged structures. This is what makes your skin wrinkle faster, your joints stiffen, and your blood vessels harden. Glycation literally ages you from the inside out. That's why people who consume a lot of sugar often look and feel older than they are. The danger also extends to your cardiovascular system. Excess sugar increases triglycerides, lowers protective HDL cholesterol, and promotes inflammation in the arteries. Over time, this damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, setting the stage for atherosclerosis and heart disease. In fact, studies show that a high sugar diet dramatically raises the risk of dying from heart-related causes, even in people who aren't overweight. Sugar's damage is not always visible on the surface. It silently erodes the very systems that keep you alive. So what can you do? The first step is awareness. Start reading labels carefully. Sugar hides under many different names: corn syrup, maltose, fructose, dextrose, evaporated cane juice, agave nectar. The list goes on. If you see more than one type of sugar in the ingredients, that's a red flag. Another step is to question foods marketed as healthy. Just because a product is labeled low-fat or organic doesn't mean it's low in sugar. In fact, food companies often replace fat with sugar to make products taste better. Once you identify the hidden sugars, the next step is to reduce them gradually. Cutting sugar cold turkey can feel overwhelming for some, especially because sugar has addictive effects on the brain, similar to drugs. Instead, replace sugary foods with nutrient-dense alternatives. Swap the morning pastry for eggs or a handful of nuts. Replace juice with sparkling water and a squeeze of lemon. Instead of reaching for a candy bar in the afternoon, try cheese, avocado, or some olives. These foods stabilize blood sugar, reduce cravings, and keep you feeling full for longer. As you make these changes, something powerful begins to happen. Your energy stabilizes instead of swinging up and down. Your cravings diminish, your brain feels clearer. Inflammation decreases, your skin improves, and your body finally has a chance to tap into fat reserves for energy. Over time, you not only protect yourself from chronic diseases, but you also extend your health span, the number of years you live with vitality and strength. But let's take this further. Sugar doesn't just damage the body, it also impacts the mind. High sugar consumption is linked to mood swings, irritability, anxiety, and even depression. That's because blood sugar fluctuations affect neurotransmitters in the brain, including serotonin and dopamine. So while sugar gives you a temporary high, the crash that follows can leave you anxious, unfocused, and emotionally drained. Over years, this roller coaster takes a toll not only on your physical health, but also on your mental resilience. And that brings us to the next surprising habit that shortens life: chronic stress. Because just like sugar, stress keeps your body in a constant state of imbalance. It raises cortisol, disrupts sleep, and accelerates aging at the genetic level. In fact, the combination of hidden sugars and unrelenting stress creates a vicious cycle. Sugar cravings rise when you're stressed, and stress worsens when your blood sugar crashes. To break free from this destructive loop, you must learn how to manage both. So now, let's look at how stress and the way we handle it directly affects longevity. If hidden sugars quietly drain your physical health, then chronic stress and overthinking do the same to your emotional and biological resilience. Stress is not always a bad thing. Your body is designed to handle short bursts of it. In fact, the stress response is what helped humans survive dangerous environments for thousands of years. But here's the problem: in today's world, stress is no longer short-lived. It is constant. It follows you from work emails to financial worries, from relationship challenges to the endless what-ifs you replay in your mind. This state of chronic stress is one of the most underestimated daily habits that shortens life. Let's break it down. When you face stress, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones increase your heart rate, raise blood pressure, and sharpen alertness, all useful if you need to escape danger. But when that response is triggered daily without a break, cortisol stays elevated for hours, sometimes even days. Over time, this continuous exposure damages nearly every system in your body. High cortisol weakens your immune system, making it harder to fight infections. It increases abdominal fat, the most dangerous type of fat linked to heart disease and diabetes. It breaks down muscle tissue and bone, leaving you weaker with age. It even interferes with sleep, creating a vicious cycle. Poor sleep raises cortisol, and high cortisol prevents quality sleep. Add in constant overthinking, and your mind never gets the chance to rest. But the most powerful way stress shortens life is through its effect on your DNA. At the end of each strand of DNA are protective caps called telomeres. Think of them like the plastic tips at the end of shoelaces. Each time a cell divides, telomeres shorten slightly. When they become too short, the cell can no longer divide, leading to aging and cellular death. Research shows that chronic stress accelerates telomere shortening, essentially fast forwarding your biological clock. That means stress doesn't just make you feel older. It literally makes your cells age faster. And then there's the mental cost. Chronic stress narrows your thinking. Instead of seeing opportunities, your brain locks into survival mode, constantly scanning for threats. Overthinking keeps you stuck in loops of fear, worry, and indecision. The brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational decision-making, gets overridden by the amygdala, the brain's fear center. That's why under stress, people often make poor choices, lash out, or feel paralyzed. It's not just an emotional struggle, it's a neurological reality. So how do you reverse this? You cannot remove all stress from life, but you can change how your body and mind respond to it. The first step is to build daily recovery moments. Just as your muscles need rest after a workout, your nervous system needs calm after stress. This doesn't have to take hours. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing can reset cortisol levels. Walking outdoors, especially in nature, lowers stress hormones and increases endorphins. Practices like meditation, prayer, or gratitude journaling calm the mind and shift your focus away from worry. Equally important is to break the cycle of overthinking. Most people believe they need to think their way out of stress, but in reality, constant rumination fuels more anxiety. A more effective approach is to engage the body. When you feel trapped in your head, do something physical. Stretch, move, clean, exercise. Movement breaks the mental loop and brings you back to the present moment where stress loses its grip. Nutrition also plays a role here. Remember how hidden sugars spike and crash your energy? Those swings actually make stress worse by overstimulating the nervous system. On the other hand, stable blood sugar, maintained through protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, keeps your brain calm and your mood steady. The connection between food and stress is powerful. The more balanced your nutrition, the more resilient your mind. Another often overlooked tool is human connection. Chronic stress isolates people, but connection lowers stress hormones and builds resilience. Whether it's a supportive friend, a meaningful conversation, or simply being present with loved ones, social bonds remind your nervous system that you are safe, reducing the biological effects of stress. When you start applying these strategies, the change is profound. Cortisol levels normalize, sleep improves, energy rises, you regain clarity in your thinking. Your body stops aging at an accelerated pace and you begin to feel more in control of your life. Longevity is not just about adding years, it's about adding quality years. Stress and overthinking rob you of that quality by pulling you out of the present and damaging your body's systems over time. But when you learn to reset daily, to calm the nervous system, and to direct your focus toward what you can control, you slow down aging at the deepest levels. And this brings us full circle. We've talked about sitting too long, poor sleep habits, hidden sugars, and now chronic stress. Each of these may seem ordinary, even harmless at first glance, but when repeated daily, they become life-shortening traps. The incredible news is that you have the power to change them. By making small, consistent adjustments, you can extend your lifespan, improve your health span, and live with greater energy and vitality. So the question is, which of these habits will you start changing today? Because your future health, your longevity, and your quality of life all depend on the choices you make right now. So here's the bottom line: longevity isn't just about avoiding major diseases. It's about addressing the small, daily habits that quietly steal your health. Sitting too long, poor sleep, hidden sugars, and chronic stress, they may seem ordinary, but they are life-shortening if left unchecked. The good news, you have the power to change them. With small, consistent actions, you can dramatically extend your life, boost your energy, and feel younger for longer. Take charge of your habits today, because how you live each day is exactly how you build or shorten your life.